Welcome to episode 1. Today's brand is going to be UPS. Thanks to everyone for commenting different brand names. It was exciting for us to go through all of this list. Today we have picked UPS, and from morning it was a great ideating session, thinking through what has to be done, etc. Today we'll walk you through a summary of what went behind it, kind of thinking this through and what we have arrived at, and excited to hear your feedback on how you interpret it. Just as a context setting, a lot of you might have heard this name, seen this brand UPS. UPS is what we call it as, but it is United Parcel Service. That's the name of the company. They are a global leader in logistics and package delivery. They handle, of course, package across the globe. They are known for they are very much renowned for worldwide parcel and document shipping services. But that said, beyond that, the company also does a broad spectrum of supply chain, freight forwarding, which is ship, custom brokerage, logistic management, and a lot more. Something very, very specific, tailored to specific industries such as healthcare logistics for very sensitive medical shipping solutions. This is a quick backstory and context of the brand that we are going to deal with. In this conversation, we are going to talk about what can an onboarding kit, which we called as unboarding kit, because we are trying to help someone unboard from their previous journey to now getting into a new brand. That is what we are going to speak about in today's context. Before we jump into the kind of solutions that we have thought through for UPS very specifically, the onboarding kit in a very general approach usually has been seen as a transaction between the company and the employee. But when it comes to the onboarding box approach that we have taken, we have actually added a layer of prism, a perspective in which we can actually reimagine how this can actually be done. So the prism has three corners. First one is, what are the actual needs of the company and needs of the employee? That is one of the aspects that the kit has to consider. Second one, what are some of the values that the company possesses that an employee needs to start living by? That is number two. Number three, at different point in time, depending on the maturity of the company, the problem that an employee goes through whenever they are joining in kind of varies. From a startup, it's different. Mid-level company is different. Traditional company is different. Enterprises, it's different. And if you're looking seniors, if you're hiring seniors, the challenge is different. Freshers, it is different. So every single onboarding kit has to solve a specific problem so that you get a good ROI back for the money that you have invested in. And also an employee feels slightly better an employee feels much more belonged before joining this brand, which is a very big decision they have taken in their life. So how we go about designing or thinking through our onboarding box is we take the brand essence of the company or the brand we are dealing with, and then we take that approach and run it through this prism so that whatever is in the expectation of an employee, we actually try to exceed that expectation so that we actually create a positive, deep memory in that audience, because of which you will actually score very high in the expectations. You will actually score very high in the likeness of the employee, thereby the commitment level, productivity, outcome, every single thing kind of changes and evolves from that starting point. Janani, over to you.
So elaborating and following up on what Harish has mentioned. So here we have like a framework that we want to work on. So gifting is not about just the person who's giving it, but it's more about the person who's receiving it. So everything that we have actually planned is from the receiver first perspective, and also it's value driven. And we don't want to just be a utility based hamper, right? We want to be multi-sensory, and it has to be a lot of context in based on which company this whole onboarding kit is for. And yeah, the buzzword storytelling, that is very, very mandatory when we are actually forming the onboarding kit, as well as the major thing that we think in onboarding when a new employee joins the company is how welcomed or how belonged that they feel to the company. If that is established at the very beginning, I think from there, to be a part of the company is something that the employee will actually look forward to. So belonging is something that we are very, very key on. So these are few things that we want to focus on while we are building the onboarding kit. And every products that we plan also has to be aligned to all of these.
The last point, something that's very important, which we are calling it episodic trigger, which is usually an onboarding gift is considered to be a very short-term activity that they receive before they join or on the day of joining, and then it kind of dies down in the first few days. But something that we have considered in most of our engagements and also in this approach, which is creating a episodic trigger where the onboarding journey, it's a starting point, but it creates a journey for the employee from that day one and then it travels for a significant long period of time. An example of which you will actually see in this video. So every single person who is joining in, they are actually taking that first mile into this journey where they are making the shipping happen globally. So derived from that idea, the entire kit or the approach in which we have created and curated this experience, we are calling it the first mile. An onboarding experience inspired by the life of a parcel. It mirrors UPS purpose, which is connection, delivery, and care.
So before we get into the actual concepts that we have worked on, so here is what we have broken down the different products or different concepts that we have actually bought inside. So the first thing, of course, is to instill the brand, so which is the hero of the entire hamper here. And the employee who's onboarding should be able to better integrate with the team as fast as possible. Onboarding should be faster. And a few things that we want to really focus on here is the belong aspect of it. So how do they feel belonged inside the company, outside the company, and as well as within? So these are few things that we have considered. I think when we talk about the products, you'll understand more what we are actually coming here. And also we want to consider the family, because a lot of times family is really not aware of what is happening with an employee or with this company. So giving a little bit aspect of giving a little bit flavor of what the company is to the family will actually bring in a lot more togetherness for the entire hamper.
So with these categories kind of established, how we have approached this entire unboxing experience of the unboarding box is, first you start with the welcome, then we take the journey to brand pride, then we get into team connection, then we get into role readiness so that we prepare them for the work, and then we make them feel that, boss, you are actually belonging in that work. And finally, we have a possibility to extend that into a family care as well, where you will get to see that idea. With that said, we will jump into the first cut of what this box actually looks like. So what you're seeing on the screen is the your first mile begins here. Very similar to the industry that UPS is in. The box actually feels like a shipping that you have received from a courier company. Yeah, so the box, the entire onboarding box derived from the concept of first mile experience mimics and depicts what UPS actually does on a day-to-day basis, which is put together in a shipping box format itself so that it feels like a delivery that comes to your home. But on the screen, you will actually see the copy which says your first mile begins here. UPS India first mile kit welcoming you to the journey ahead, right? But over here, something that we have done is, right when you open the box, it actually says, this is a reusable box. You can send it again and then again to your loved and cared ones. And this parcel forever is on UPS, right? Through this container or the package itself, we are attempting to reinforce the value of what actually UPS stands here, the promise of what UPS does to the entire world. And you also see a copy written over here that this is a UPS employees box. Now it's on its way to someone who they love and care. So as an employee, if you want to send a courier or send a parcel or send something dear to some of your dear and near ones, you can actually put your material in the same box and put it in UPS, and UPS, we propose or we assume UPS will actually do it for free. So thereby, this onboarding box is not a material that you will get once and then you throw it once, but it can actually be a package that you can keep reusing again and again. But from a feasibility standpoint, anyway, 2-3 times the dabba will be kind of damaged, but at least it gives a journey that can travel much longer. And during this travel as well, I'm sure others will also get to see it. Thereby, there is a larger leverage for the brand as well in this concept. The second one, something very interesting, to reinforce the concept of you getting into the system of UPS. I'm sure all of you would have received a gifting card in your childhood where when you actually open the box, you hear a sound or a jingle play in the background. Deriving from the same concept, we kind of placed a speaker, perforated speaker in the box itself, which when you open the box, it starts giving voice from the field where you actually hear a warehouse, shipping being done, shipping being delivered, someone opening the door, collecting it. Thereby, you kind of reinforce the entire brand and the brand story when the moment you open the box and the moment every single person actually ends up opening the box.
Next product, the water bottle. So it is universal for sure. But what personally we feel is there is always a lot of real estate on the water bottle that can be utilized in the right way. So the way we want to utilize the water bottle here is to show UPS's impact across India. And this will give a very, very pretty looking water bottle that people would love to carry around. And lanyard, of course, is a given, but the thought process that we had is for a new joinee, if we have a lanyard that actually separates them from the rest of the employees, and wherever they go around in the office. So what happens is they recognize a new joinee and people give them a high five, people tell them a warm welcome and things like that. So this will actually make the employee get accustomed to the new office very, very quickly, and they'll feel really welcomed. And that will actually make a huge difference in the entire journey with the company.
The last two ideas that we explained are basically things that an employee can carry around, right? But extending that, we want them to be a collector of experiences that they will end up having in UPS as a company, as a brand itself. So one of the idea that came was, what if you have a collector box that is transparent, that you can actually hang in your workspace if it is remote, or hang in your home, wherever that you want to. And in every single interaction with your team member, be it your onboarding buddy or your manager or your team lead, whomsoever, we can create a company culture of giving stamps to each other, where in every single conversations that they're having with their team members during the onboarding stage, they can actually collect certain stamps from all of these people and come home and become a UPS experience collector. And this can be a tangible metaphor of what that experience can translate into. This is a very unique idea because it kind of makes the team bonding much more meaningful, faster, and largely tangible as well. With that said, one of the interesting idea that we had in the kit was giving them a simulation card, because for an employee, every single time when we join a company, we are still figuring out what their process is. Can I laugh? Can I speak? Who is my point of contact? How does things work here? I'm sure a lot of questions we will have, but can we actually convert this into a playing deck of cards that you can play with your buddy or play with your team member, or have an internal game where we kind of converted this card types into four things. One, root cards.
So the another product that we have here is kind of a default in the onboarding kits, but again can get a facelift, which could be pretty interesting. So what we had thought for the UPS notebook is we could actually add a lot of tidbits, facts, and fun things about the company as footnotes in each of the notebooks, which will actually, as people turn their pages, they get to learn a lot of new things and understand the company better as it keeps going.
Most interesting thing in our kit.
Yeah. One other interesting thing that we were thinking that actually has not been in any of the onboarding kits so far is a small desk flag. So what this does is, so it's going to be a small flag that you put on the desk and would say that you are just getting started with the company, right? And anybody who sees this on your desktop will know that okay, anybody who sees this on your desk knows that you are a new joiner, and they could actually help you with a lot of things in the company, like, probably help you where is the pantry, or maybe how do you get started with a certain thing. So this gives somebody indication that you have a new joinee and, help them get started.
And also, if you see here, there are some swappable cards here. So once you finish your probation or your first couple of months, you can swap this with a different card that kind of sells miles ahead. Or in case if you graduate to become a senior or an associate or mid-level, whatever, you can actually go to your HR and you can create a living embodiment of where you stand and what your association with UPS at any point in time. These can be magnetic, swappable, some sort of cards that can give a newer meaning to same old stuff that exists in your material. That leads to a t-shirt. So far we have spoken about things that will help them internally, things that will help within themselves, and t-shirt is something that they can proudly carry outside. A lot of times, most of the t-shirts that we are used to are stuck with the logo, and we kind of starts and stops there. An area that we wanted to experiment with is, can the t-shirt actually extend some of the brand promises and brand values that as an employee you would have embodied by this point in time. So on the back of the seam, can you actually say India Logistics route map and then put a graphic on it? And then as a first-time employee, along with your lanyard, can your t-shirt actually say first mile crew, so that you kind of feel belonged and show that belongingness to the external world as well. And now with today's technology, you can even have prints or embroidery in different areas of the t-shirt so that we can do a much more expressive design over there.
Another product that we kind of reimagined, why could be a great part of onboarding kit, is something related to wellness. So now there is a lot of light on wellness in terms of physical wellness as well as mental wellness. But here we are focusing on the physical wellness, where we think that adding a lip balm as part of onboarding kit would be a great and a new perspective here. It is not gender specific. I think lip balms are getting more gender agnostic these days. So it'll be a good way to tell that we care about your physical health as well. And I think lip balm is also a great part of the multi-sensory experience here.
The next one in this ideation series for UPS is affirmation and culture cards, very similar to the playing deck cards that you saw. Can we actually have small posters, small postcards, or some sort of a cards that kind of adores and makes your desk look bright? And these can be everyday rituals or tiny habits that kind of onboards you faster into the smaller behavior, values, and thinking methodologies that the company actually believes in. The idea of having posters in our desk is to kind of relate with what we believe in. Extending the same idea, can we start mutually agreeing on the values of what the company wants us to get onboarded into, and something that you also start relating with? Over a period of time, people can choose to swap these cards with some newer values and newer habits that they want to start adopting themselves. The last one in this series is actually a enamel milestone, which is a part of the episodic triggers that we started this conversation with. We strongly believe a massive trust exchange has happened when an employee actually joins a certain organization with an intention that they are going to travel a certain number of years in their entire life. This enamel pin is a celebratory brooch or a badge that they can proudly carry. So in the part of the onboarding kit itself, we kind of ideated 3 different enamel badges. The first one is when they are done with their probation or when they are converting to a full-time employee. Here is a badge that they can unlock. And if the employee kind of stays for 1 year, here is a second badge that they can unlock and proudly start wearing. And the third one is whenever they reach second year or third year of their experience in UPS, here is another badge that they can unlock and vary. And these are certain things that will eventually start adding up to the pride, the commitment, and the brand loyalty that people actually start developing with the brand. With that said, we kind of complete the entire onboarding box experience for what we imagined for UPS. Giving you an entire recap of what we did. Here is your first mile experience, and this is a kit that you can actually reuse and reuse by sending it to your loved and cared ones, and this is fully on UPS. And this is the reusable box. Followed by that, we spoke about a water bottle that kind of summarizes the entire impact journey of what UPS has done in his legacy, now something that you can carry on. And then Janani talked about the lanyard that gives you an identity that, hey, I am a new joiner here, let's come and have a conversation. Then we spoke about the notebook that can extend its functionality by slowly teaching you certain tidbits, values, histories, milestones, and achievements of what UPS has done so far. Then comes the miles and faces collector, where you can tangibilize the experience that you will have internally. We spoke about T-shirts that are custom designed for UPS that goes beyond and talks the brand promise of what UPS stands for. We spoke about the first delivery experience, where you give them a playing deck of simulation cards to understand how the company works in a high level faster. Then we spoke about a desk flag that kind of tells you, hey, I'm a new joinee here, and what is the maturity of my duration in the company through the swappable cards. Finally, we spoke about value cards. And then last, we spoke about the enamel pins, with Janani talking about the lip balm, which is now can act as a multi-sensory experience throughout this entire kit. Hope you enjoyed this edition, the first edition of what UPS is.
So I think you might have got an idea of how we have given an amazing facelift to one of the companies that we really look up to. And we are looking to work on more such companies and give facelift to other onboarding kits as well. So go about, comment the company that you think we should work on next. And yeah, we are looking forward to one more episode with a lot of interesting facts.
Thank you so much, people. Meet you one more Friday. Thank you for watching this.